they are protesting against in those streets.
Taking it to the next level.
They've already got control over the State Department, over the military. They have control over the Congress through AIPAC. They have control over the presidency. Goldman Sachs owns Barack Obama. Rahm Emanuel, his connection there. It goes on and on and on. They have total control of every institution in this country. And now it's time to take it to the next level, folks. The foundation has been laid systematically and carefully for years and years and years. And now they're going to put the cherry on top of the sundae. And I'm here to tell you today that I sincerely believe with all my heart that what is taking place right now is a complete deception and is a very dangerous movement that could literally put this country into the abyss. And I really believe this. So we need now to work together within this movement. Folks, you can't work side by side with the Bolshevik Zionist liar. They will lie to you each and every time. They will stab you in the freaking back. They cannot be trusted. You cannot yoke yourselves with that kind of tyranny and expect to get anything. Now, they might welcome you in the beginning and use you for their purposes. But in the end, they will come after you and you will be stomped out because that's what they believe. And they always use the young people. And for the young people listening to today, I'm 39 years old. Okay? For the younger people listening today, don't be duped by this Bolshevism, this modern day Zionist criminal Bolshevism. Please don't do it. Don't let them use you as cannon fodder for their purposes. Think. Michael Moore doesn't care about your body, your physical security, your life, your monetary gains. He doesn't care about your dreams. These socialist professors working for these Zionist criminals don't have your interest at heart. They want to use you for their own consolidation of wealth and resources. Big corporations. I hear a lot of talk about, we got to stop the big corporations. Folks, the big corporations love communism. They love Bolshevism because it stomps out any creativity and individualism and the possibilities of small businesses in future competition. They love it. And the big corporations, if you look what happened in Russia after the Bolshevik Revolution, the big corporations merged right with the Central Planning Committee. And they all profited like you wouldn't believe. Hell, Ford and other companies helped build Russian tanks. There was so much collusion with the corporations and the communists and the Bolshevik scumbags. And what did Lenin say in those speeches? Think about it. We're here for peace, equality. The rhetoric on this thing, I'm impressed. And by the way, Michael Morrison, one other thing in that clip, which I want to dissect. He said, I wonder why there's no coverage as he's on Oberman. I wonder why, because I'll tell you why. They wanted to use people in this movement, this so-called movement, whatever the hell that means anymore, but they wanted to use you listening to shows like this. That they wanted to dupe you into getting involved in this so they could make it look like this was an organic movement of freedom coming from these type of shows and these type of movements. And they did it pretty brilliantly. They've done a great job at this. And they made it look organic. But believe me, tune in tomorrow, and I bet you'll start seeing news coverage of this with the unions, because now they got all their people in place, and now they got their message, and now they're going to make a big deal out of this. And they're going to use the youth movement to usher in even more communism, even more Zionism, even more control by the banks, even more control by the corporations. Just as they preach against it, they are ushering in more corporate control. Don't believe the hype. Literally. They're sophisticated. The best at preaching at peace are sometimes the best at creating war. We'll pick it up on their side. Nonconformity Live, Oracle Broadcasting. Welcome back, Nonconformity Live Tuesday edition, and I want to bring up this aspect right here that hasn't been brought up yet. Just as we did the show on the Tea Party a couple weeks ago about how that was the total Zionist propaganda creation there. Well, it was co-opted. It started out decent, I guess. Maybe. Who knows? But, you know, it started out legitimate. In the Fed, you know, all that. Stop the New World Order, get rid of the UN, that kind of stuff. In the wars for Israel, that kind of thing. And then it was co-opted or whatever, but it was co-opted based upon the Likud party strategy from Israel. That came out. And what's interesting about this, same thing here, folks. What's interesting about this Occupy Wall Street movement is that if you go to the Adbusters site for Occupy Wall Street, adbusters.org, Occupy Wall Street, listen to this. It says, Occupy Wall Street is a people-powered movement for democracy. Now remember that Vladimir Lenin said that democracy is indispensable for socialism. Okay? Remember that. So Occupy Wall Street is a people-powered movement for democracy that began in America. Okay? On September 17th with an encampment in the financial district of New York City. Inspired by the Egyptian Tahrir Square uprising and the Spanish encampadas, we vow to end the money corruption of our democracy. Join us. Interesting. A people power revolution. That's the same words that the Brzezinski group, crisis group used. Color revolution also. Crisis group were behind the Egyptian Twitter, Facebook revolution in Egypt. So they're telling you right here that they believe in democracy, which Lenin said was indispensable to socialism. And remember, socialism and communism is the international movement. Okay? Socialism, communism, Bolshevism, Zionism is an expanding movement that wants to gobble up the whole world for world domination. It is globalism. Alright? So they tell you on their own page who they are. But there's another interesting aspect of this that I haven't heard anybody mention. I don't know if they're still taking place in Israel now, but there were for the last couple of weeks protests in Israel. Massive protests in Israel by a bunch of whiny socialist pigs in Israel demanding the same thing. More socialism. If Israel wasn't socialist enough in that criminal state. But they took to the streets demanding the same things. You can go on YouTube and just type in, Israeli protest and listen to what they're saying. We want equality and human rights and a living wage and a world full of peace and international control and more more health care, universal health care, and it was all the same mantra. I'm gonna go on record right now. I bet you money that if we really start digging into who started this whole operation, that it'll all go back to that criminal state of Israel. And I bet you they modeled this protest on those protests in Israel, because they sound the same way. They're saying the same things. They're parroting the same propaganda. Look how these groups that come into New York, if you watch the live streams, they actually have talking points, and they're getting the whole crowd to repeat what they are saying in unison. Folks, that is groupthink. That's brainwashing. Think about this. Wow. So you go on their website, and like I said, if you look at who's behind Adbusters, but I'm putting out the call. Who are the 12? Has anybody been able to find the 12 yet? I spent a good portion of today and last night looking on the internet for the names. I actually searched, who are the 12 students that started the Occupy Wall Street in the park? Can someone please help me find the 12 names of the 12 supposed students that started this thing? Because we've been told this was organic. It started with 12 students in a park. Yeah. And then when you go to the other website, it's got the freaking communist fist. With Occupy in red. With Michael Moore. And George Soros and Cornel West from Princeton. And unbelievable, man. This has been planned out in advance. Let's go back to Zbigniew Brzezinski. When he said a couple months ago, before the summer started, this was going to be the summer of rage. Right? They're a little late. It's going to be the fall, but I think they wanted it that way so it could be like the Bolshevik Revolution. But that poster that you showed me, Dave, it said what? Come join us for a rage? Right?
Day of rage.
Come join us for a day of rage.
Let the days of rage begin.
Let the days of rage begin. And it looks like the freaking communist symbol, folks. And it says, let the days of rage begin.
Wall Street belongs to us.
Wall Street belongs to us.
It's got a hammer and a bent sword. Looks like a sickle.
Yeah, a hammer and a bent sword. Wow.
Red stars.
I'm sure that doesn't mean anything. That's Bolshevik Zionist propaganda crap. That's what that is. But go ahead and eat it up. Go ahead and drink the Kool-Aid. A day of rage. And that's what Zbigniew Brzezinski said. He said, there's going to be a summer of rage. You're telling me that, and all of a sudden their banner is on their website, people-powered movement, democracy, inspired by the Egyptian democracy uprising. It was done by them, and they're using the same language that Brzezinski used, and all these Zionist criminals used to bring this thing into fruition. Coincidence after coincidence. Let's go through all of them. Because these people are the kings of coincidence after all, aren't they? Bolshevik Revolution from February to October, ending in November. Their color was red. They preached equality, peace, an end to elitism, human rights. They stood up against capitalism. They used the average age of the people involved in the Bolshevik Revolution from the ages of 14 to 21. A lot of young people in this movement. Of course they are. When I was young, when I was that age, I was easily manipulated into stuff like this, Because you're excited, you have energy, you want to be involved in something, you want to feel important. But listen to me carefully. You better damn well know what you're involved with here, because you could be being used right now for the biggest deception and for the most tyrannical movement that's ever occurred in this country. And I really do believe that. I believe that it's crunch time. I always say on the show, this is the consolidation phase of their Zionist global empire that they've been building for quite some time. And I'm convinced that they've used elements of the so-called truth movement, that they've used